Hey folks, all right, this is video number 5. I really think I'm going to get it all done on this one. So what I'm going to do is something, again, like I talked about on video 4. I've never done this before. I've done some testing with it, and I like the way the test came out. But here's what I'm going to do. I've got my profile bit in. It's set at right at 1/4 inch. I've got a piece of 3/4 inch thick MDF, and I have laid out the Sasha with the freezer paper just exactly the same as I laid it out on the big sign. The big sign is drying right now. I think I've got 3 or 4 coats on it. Probably going to go at least 1 or 2 more. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut this Sasha again exactly the same size as is on the sign, and you'll see what I'm going to do with it. But anyway, I've got it set up here. I've got again 3/4 inch MDF. So I am going to, since I'm cutting MDF, and MDF is not that conducive to breathing. I'm going to put my mask on. Wear my cheaters. And we're going to make these outset. So let's get after it. All right, folks, so I think you can get an idea of what I'm doing there. Just as a note, in case I hadn't said this in a while, when you watch me carving or sanding, generally and there's music playing, generally I have sped it up twice the speed. So what you just saw me cut, I actually cut it half that fast. So even though this MDF actually cuts really well, again, I don't like to breathe the sawdust, but it does hold a line very well. So I'm going to finish the rest of this up off camera, then we'll come back and we'll take the next step. Hey folks, all right, so what we've done now is I've got all the profiling done. I've got all the basic lines. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this out completely with my router. This is my spiral upcut bit. It's set to go clear through here, and I've got this actually with the masking tape and the star bond. I've got it glued, a temporary glue to a scrap piece of plywood, so that I can go all the way through and not be cutting into my bench. So we are going to give this a shot. I'm going to do some of these internal cuts. When you're cutting something like this out, you're best getting your internal cuts done first before you cut the outside part. So let's get after it. This is really gonna make a lot of sawdust. So Vicky's got a mask on as well. Oh yeah, and obviously I'm using my big 618 router rather than a little one. 618 is built for this kind of torque. Here we go. Okay, that's one of the things you got to be careful of. That particular piece, that internal piece, had no tape underneath it, so there was nothing to hold it from moving once it busted loose. So that's why I shut the router off, and you could see it. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it on the video. I'm sure Vicky was a little nervous because it was chattering like crazy, but I've been doing this for a while, and I'm always kind of used to those kind of things happening. So obviously we got all the way through. This one, oh yeah, so we had a little bit of a tape on there. That's why it didn't chatter when I busted loose. But this is pretty dangerous stuff, guys. If you're not used to doing this kind of thing, it's you really got to pay attention. Should have kept my mask on for that. But anyway, so obviously it's going all the way through. So I'm just making a rough cut. Now, to be very honest, I could have made it in two different cuts, but this spiral upcut goes through this 3/4 inch MDF pretty good.
Pretty good?
Pretty good. Yeah, it goes right through it. So, but you really have to kind of pay attention to what you're doing. So, now you have an idea of what I'm doing here. I'm going to finish the rest of this up off camera, trying not to injure myself. And then we'll come back and we'll trim those out so we get those a nice flush cut. Now, you guys that are scroll saws or band saws, this is probably what you would do on a scroll saw or bandsaw. I'm a router guy. This is the way I do it. So anyway, just I'll finish it up and then we'll be back and we'll get it all cleaned up. All right, folks, so I am ready to kind of move on to the next step. So what I've done is I've cut it all out. I've got all my internal cuts done. I've cut all the way around the outside. And now I am going to go back and trim it all up because I really need this thing to be trimmed up to the right size. So I'm using the same router bit. I've added a little light because I need a little light. By the way, we're all bundled up because it's in the 50s here, which to us, I know, it seems probably ridiculous to most of you people that live with wintertime in the 20s and 30s, but below. For us, you know, it's in the 50s and the wind's blowing, feels like it's coming out of the Arctic. Anyway, all right, enough said. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to now trim up, and you'll see that. I'm going to do that right now. We're going to trim this thing up so we've got it the right size that we need. And that's really important. So let me put my cheaters on, got some light going on. This is my other little octopus light. I had a second one. This one's not glued down because I don't need it that often. But for the big one here, here's what we're going to do. All right, here we go.
Make sure you don't turn that base.
Yeah. Okay guys, so that's the idea. Now what I have to do, because of camera angles and stuff, I have to move around this thing. I could have taken this frame off, but I really want stability of the router, of the base plate. It's almost loose right now, but I want the stability of that so that when my router base gets out here, it doesn't want to dip on me. So what I've done here and what I've done here is what I need to do all the way around all the internal cuts and the exterior. Now you kind of know what I'm doing there. I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of it off camera. Then when we come back, we'll get into the next step. Okay, folks, so I think I got it pretty much all trimmed up. Now I'm going to take this off. One thing that I forgot to mention, I just briefly in passing, I talked about the masking tape and Star Bond, the way I stuck this down. Oh, it was, man, it came out nice. So what I did was I just put masking tape on the back of this, and I put masking tape on in the same, kind of the same areas on the plywood, and then I used the Star Bond and the accelerator. A Star Bond medium on the tape itself, and then I used the accelerator on the other tape, and then when I pushed it together, it stuck down. Now, if you want to see that process, go watch number 387. That is newsletter number 387. Now we'll see if I can actually pop this off of here without breaking it. That would really not be good if it broke on the way out. Well, looks like I pulled it off. I got it all off there. So now I'll just pull that tape off, and then we're going to take it inside. Oh no, actually we're not going to take it inside. I got one more thing I got to do to it before I take it off, take it inside. So I'm going to pull this tape off. This should actually come off pretty easily. You can see it's a double thickness of tape there. That's where the Star Bond was, but now it should all just peel off fairly easily, just like that. Anyway, so I'm going to take care of that and get a different setup here, and we'll be right back. All right, guys, one thing that I did forget is I'm going around all the way around this thing and just kind of smoothing everything up with my micro zip. Again, this is, you know, the perfect instance of where the micro zip really comes in handy. So I'm being very careful because this thing is, gosh, I hope I'm still on camera. I'm filming this by myself. Vicky's taking care of some business inside. So anyway, I am going all the way around, inside and outside, just to make sure that all of these edges are nice and smooth and kind of flow together. Again, I hope I'm on camera. But the micro zip's doing a really great job at that. And fortunately, this MDF is pretty easy to sand. One of the great reasons for using it. So I'm going to do that, go all the way around, make sure inside and outside all of my edges are nice and smooth. You see I've kind of already done those. They feel really good. So I'm going to finish that and then we'll come right back. All right, guys, so here we have it. It's pretty much all sanded down smooth. I think it feels pretty good. I went all the way around all the inside and all the outside. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put a round over on everything. And you'll see why we're going to do that here on the next scene. But let's just see how this works out. Yep, that's the way I want it to look. Ooh, sounds like my router. Did you hear that, guys? Sounds like my router. The bearings are going out. That's what it normally sounds like. Let me do that again, just so you guys can hear. It kind of did it, but that's when you guys want to know when your bearings are starting to go on your router, that's what it sounds like. Anyway, all right, so I'm going to finish this up and then we're going inside to take the next step. All right, boys and girls, here's what we're going to do. We're going to pour resin on this. I have 3 coats of primer, my regular Rust-Oleum primer that I always use on here. I got it pretty much primed up, got it leveled up. We have got some Total Boat, actually using Total Boat resin here. I really like Total Boat. Vicky, you know, she uses several different kinds. I kind of like the Total Boat. And so what we're going to attempt to do is pour this thing with resin, and I am making a mess. Vicky's going crazy over here. Ooh, that was a little better. You did better on that one. Yeah. So I should be talking during this whole thing, but
I know it's hard to concentrate and talk at the same time. You're gonna need more resin on there, but
you know, there's a lot that's going on the bottom that we'll be able to scrape up.
Yeah, but you want it to overflow, so. And it's really getting warm.
Yeah, I know. So, need to keep talking here. So, the goal here, guys, is now you might have an idea that what we're trying to do is get this completely covered in resin and have it nice and shiny black and covered clear over to the edge all the way to the back side.
All right, I'm going to turn off the camera, we'll finish it, and then we will come back.
Yep, we'll be right back. Hey guys, all right. This is done. So I am really super happy with the way it came out. What am I doing wrong?
Don't turn it, just leave it. I'm zooming.
Oh, okay. Super happy with the way it came out. I actually had to pour this 3 times. You guys saw the first pour, and that kind of soaked in about half a dozen different spots because I didn't have the MDF sealed up the way I should have with the primer. So that one I had to redo. The second pour had a couple little blemishes in it that I really wasn't happy with. So this is the third pour. You can see how many drips I've got on the back side. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to sand off these drips, but I'm not going to do it my way that we normally do. Like Vicky uses that disc grinder to grind off those drips. Well, I do not want to set this down and put any pressure on it. You can see I've got my gloves on because I don't want any kind of fingerprints. By the way, this has been setting for over 2 days now. A full 48 hours, probably about 54 hours now. I wanted to make sure it was nice and hard. But anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use our big belt sander. What I mean by that is the floor-mounted 6x48 belt, and you know, many of you guys have got the belt combination disc sander. I'll try and find a video where we've used that because I think we've used it on camera way back when. I'll try and find a video and put it in the description here so you can see what I'm talking about. But this is it's way back in our cave, and I'm not going to do it on camera, but basically that will allow me to hold it down on that big belt and grind these off from the backside without laying this face down and putting any pressure on it. Anyway, that's what I'm going to do next. Then we're going to come back and we're going to mount this on the big Sasha sign. All right, guys, so I have sanded it off using that belt sander, that big belt sander that I was talking about. It's a floor model stationary belt sander with a disc, but I just used the big 6x48 belt. And I got it down where it sets pretty flat, so I think it's good enough. But one thing I didn't anticipate is where I had these, the first time I poured, I had it sitting on the little Dixie cups, here, 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 and somewhere else. Maybe it was just those 3. What happened is it kind of pooled right there, and so it's not a really good, let me show you from this side. It should be a sharper corner in there, and then there's a little piece here where those cups were sitting. So here's how I'm fixing it. Just got my little Dremel, and I've got a little grinding wheel or kind of stick kind of thing that we use a lot for trimming up our HDPE. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grind that, hopefully. How's that look? Does it look like it's getting... Oh, yeah. So tell me when. Okay, so that's kind of what I was talking about. Vicky pointed out that I had a little bump going on there. I've got 3 or 4 places that I gotta fix, and then what I do is I just use my Sharpie, and so it doesn't, I don't know if you can see that, it looks like bare resin. So what I'm doing now, just to make it kind of blend in a little bit better, I'll color it with a black Sharpie. And I think that causes it to blend a little bit better. Anyway, so I'm going to do these other 3 or 4 spots that I got to do, and then we'll come back and finish it up. All right, folks, so we're coming down to the end. We're getting close. So what I've done is I've touched up all those places I talked about. I think it's a really good, there's no really overflow pools on there now. So now I'm going to attach this on the front of the sign. You guys might have guessed that by now. But what I'm not, I was thinking about it, I was going to just use Star Bond, but I don't want any chance of this thing coming loose, and being as there's resin on the back of here and there's finish, Czar finish on the front of the sign, I wanted to absolutely make sure that there's no chance that it's going to come off. So here's how I'm going to solve that problem. On the back of this sign, what I'm going to do is I've got 5 places marked here. I'm going to drill a very tiny hole, and I've got this marked for about 3/8 of an inch deep. So I'm going to drill holes, and then I'm going to put pins in there. So I'm going to show you exactly what I'm going to do here. Now, what I really have to pay attention to is make sure that I'm drilling my hole straight up and down, because those pins that I put in there, if I put them at an angle, then it won't push straight down flush on the board. So I've got to be really, really careful. Now I should be able to drill all the way in to where my mark is. Huh?
I can't.
I drill all the way into my mark, which is about 3/8 of an inch. And this stuff is 3/4 of an inch, so I shouldn't have any issues there at all. Did it? This bit is so flimsy. So what I'll do is I'll dry fit those first. Actually, if I did it on a drill press, that's really the way to make sure that it's straight up and down. But hopefully that will this will work. So what we'll do, so all I've done is on these pins, I've just taken some small.
No.
What?
Go ahead, put it down there. You got glare.
Oh. Taking some small 1.5
right there.
or excuse me, 3/4 inch brad nails. And they've got heads on them, and I can't have the heads, so I just snipped those off. So now I've just got a little 3/4 inch pin basically, and I want to put my flat end in the actual back of the deal here. So let's see how these. That is an angle. Yeah, looks like they're fairly pliable. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue those in. So let's just do that. Put a drop of Star Bond in there, and hopefully I can get it to glue straight up and down.
You want me to spray it?
I think I'll spray it. I think I got it wherever my spray is. Thank you, babe. So I'm going to hold that, actually. It's pretty straight. Okay, so that's fairly straight. It's not too bad. I think it's going to work. the hole is a little bit bigger than the diameter of the nail anyway. So what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to go ahead and glue all of my pins in, and then when we come back, we'll stick it to the front of the sign and see if it works. We got sound, right? Yeah. Okay, just making sure, because we didn't talk about it. All right, we got sound. Here we go. So we're close, guys. Here we go. So I've got all my pins in place, and again, the reason I wanted to have those the pinpoints or the sharp end sticking out is I'm going to put this in place where I want it to be. Hopefully, very carefully. That looks about right. And I know where my pins are. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push in those spots. And hopefully they'll make a mark that then I can take it back off. Sounds right. And be able to know where to drill my holes. Okay, so now I'm going to drill my holes where they go. I missed that one. 1, 2. Then what I have to do, I almost drilled that knot. Then I have to dry fit it, make sure that those holes are in the right spot. Ouch. Just kneeled on a rock, I think. Yep, it's pretty much down flush.
Now you gotta be able to get it off there without scratching and...
Yeah, I think it'll pop right off, actually. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put Star Bond not only in those holes, but several other places on the sign. And I'm not going to worry about the accelerator, because once this thing is down, I'm just going to let it dry on its own. I'm not even worried about the accelerator. Once I know I've got it down flush. Again, it's all theoretical.
You want to put some weight on it?
No, I think if I push it down, well, I hope. We'll see. I might have to put weight on it.
Doesn't have to be a lot.
Huh?
Doesn't have to be a lot.
It does feel like it's not wanting to lay exactly flat unless I press it down. Maybe I should have put accelerator under there.
You want to put this thing on it?
All right, guys, here's what we're going to do. I am actually going to put some foam over this thing and put some weight on it, not too much, because I really, even though this stuff is pretty hard now, I really don't want to put too much weight on it. but I do want it setting flat, and give that star bond some time to set up and keep this thing flat. We actually happen to have a box that we made for one of Vicky's tables. Actually, we'll go, and then I think I'm gonna put a weight in here.
We should put one of these.
Yeah, that's full. So we're gonna let that set for a little bit. When we come back, we'll be done. We'll wrap this thing up completely. Stay with us. Whew. All right, guys, we're done. This is it. All I got to do now is just pack it up. Hopefully, pack it up well enough that it's going to get to New York from where I'm at. I think New York. I think that's where I'm sending it. Anyway, it came out just like I saw it in my head. I wanted something super special for James and the Sasha Group. James Orsini, he's the CEO of the Sasha Group. Let alone, hopefully Gary V will see it, and the whole Sasha Group. Just love what they do, and all the help they gave me when I went to 4Ds. But this is it's way different than anything I've done. So again, thank you to James and Gary, of course, and the whole Sasha Group. Nick Dio over there at Sasha Group. Thank you guys so much for what you have done for me and countless other people. I hope you like it, and it will be on the way soon. I'll probably ship it out of here tomorrow. It's going to take me a couple hours to pack it up, make sure that it's all protected and sealed. I did one other note. A couple people have asked what this would sell for if I was going to remake it or sell it, and based on the time involved, this is probably about $1,000 sign. I don't think I would make it for any less than that. There's just so much work in this. I think I'm somewhere between 30 and 40 hours in this. You want me to move over? Yeah. Is that what that meant?
Well, it could have given you another signal, but...
Yeah. Anyway, so there it is. Super duper happy with it. I would like to... back in my old days, I used to use a phrase of when I saw something that was really outlandishly cool, but I won't use that word because I've grown beyond that, at least on camera.
You've grown beyond it. You said it.
Anyway, super happy with it. The one thing that doesn't really show up is the book match. I went through all of the hassle of doing the book matched, and it doesn't really show up, but that's okay. I'm fine with it. To me, I really love it. I'm gonna set it up. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna put the hanger on the back. I'm gonna use the same one that I did for the Beautiful Disaster, and then I think for the Young Nails sign. It's the go back and watch those videos. I'll put tell you what those deals are, but basically it's a French cleat system that mounts on the back. Really cool, very cool way to do it, but I'm going to put that on as well. Anyway, that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this process. 5 videos. I really was hoping that it wouldn't take that much, but it did.
Turn this way a little bit. You got quite a bit of glare on you.
Oh, okay. That's it for this one. We're done. If you haven't subscribed yet, we'd love for you to subscribe, and don't forget to click that little bell icon, because we do 4 videos new every week, and we're over 1,000 videos now. Anyway, thank you so much for all the support. We couldn't keep doing what we're doing without you guys buying a product once in a while and watching our videos. We love you, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.